Red button means we're live. Some casual takes with your boy Stephen Pepper, here to give a couple of takes off my chest. What a game that was last night. Mavs Thunder Game 6. The Mavs win the series to advance to the Western Conference Finals, their second one in 3 years. That was an amazing game last night. Honestly, these playoffs have been great. I'm loving it so far, despite the fact that my glorious king got knocked down in the first round. Other than that, that game was amazing. We've had a couple blowouts in the last couple of games, but I mean, that was just an amazing game last night. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about both teams, what this series meant and their futures for both teams. Let's start with Dallas. I tried telling y'all at the end of last season, while all y'all were calling the Kyrie and Luka duo a disaster, that it was actually worth fixing. Listen, the Kyrie and Luka duo, they just needed another season to play with each other. The actual issue was the supporting cast that they gutted to get Kyrie Irving. Now, Dallas needed to find defenders in size to put around the duo. Now, Dallas only had a year to do so. But I got to give credit to the front office for doing an incredible job saving the duo. They started off by nailing the draft and getting Derek Lively. And then in free agency, sticking with Kyrie Irving. And then bringing in alongside him Derek Jones Jr. and then Grant Williams, who at the deadline, they traded for P.J. Washington and also brought in Daniel Gafford. Listen, I tried telling y'all, the Luke and Kyrie duo can do most of the offense, and they were great last night. It was just up to the new guys who I said they just need to bring in a couple new guys to do everything else. And the Mavs are in the Western Conference Finals today because of Lively's 15 rebounds. Derek Jones Jr. going for 20 points. P.J. Washington hitting some late free throws. That's why the Mavs are in the Western Conference Finals. You know, in 2022, the Dallas Mavericks made the Western Conference Finals. They lost in 5 games to the Golden State Warriors. And the following year, last year, they ran it back. Well, they lost Jalen Brunson in free agency to New York to kind of let him walk. And they were the 4th seed to start the year. But then they kind of realized we need another bona fide scorer alongside Luka Doncic. And here comes Kyrie Irving. Now, at the time, I necessarily didn't think Dallas was going to win a lot with this Kyrie Irving in 2023. I thought offensively, this could be one of the best offensive duos in the league. On a given night, Kyrie and Luka can combine for 50 to 70 points. They're that good. Kyrie's actually much better in that number 2 role behind a Luka, kind of like how he was behind LeBron. And I thought it gave him great scoring alongside Luka that they missed without a Jalen Brunson. But to get Kyrie, they gutted the remaining role players, their defense, their size. And I said, you know, Dallas isn't going to win because they don't have depth and they don't have defense, they don't have size, and that's what you need in a postseason run. And as a result, they didn't just miss the playoffs. They missed the play-in. They went like 4-12 to end the season. Remember, they were losing games to the Hornets? But I came on here after the season and said, whoa. As much as I don't like how the trade hurt their season, next year they can be so much better. The duo is worth saving if they have the right offseason. And I know they had a year, and a lot of people in my comments were saying, oh, I compare the Mavericks to how the Cavs can build around Luke and Kyrie, how the Cavs build around Garland and Mitchell, how they have 2 offensive players who don't really play defense, but 3, 4, 5 all are big, and they play defense. And I said, Dallas should do a similar situation like that. And then the people in my comments were like, well, they only have a year to do that, where Cleveland, they had multiple years. And I thought it was a little bit of a challenge for Dallas, but they did a fantastic job starting in the draft and then in free agency and then at the deadline to build that team around Luke and Kyrie, and look where they are in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, the draft, Derek Lively was a hell of a pick. I said it all season. He was going to be the most important rookie this year. Not the best. Obviously, Wemby's got like GOAT potential. Brandon Miller's going to be nice. But I said out of all the players in this draft class for the 2023-24 season, Derek Lively was going to be the most important player. As in, he was going to be big for a team that had winning aspirations, other than like Jaime Jaquez and Pods or some runner-ups, but it was Derek Lively. Look at him. I thought the game shifted when Lively got in the game and started dominating the backboard and catching lobs. Derek Jones Jr., I mean, he's got to be like the best cheap role player in the league right now. I mean, he's making vet minimum. He's having back-to-back 20 games. They brought him in. He has size, athleticism. And then at the trade deadline, they brought in size. That's why Dallas is in the Western Conference Finals. I told y'all this duo was worth saving. Although I didn't think they were going to win in 23, and I was right because they gutted the size, the defense, the role players, and then they lost Brunson in the free agency prior that made them go to the Western Conference Finals. But now they've saved their duo by bringing in the right supporting cast of guys who can play defense and hit timely shots. And Luke and Kyrie can do most of the offense. So congratulations, any Mavericks fans listening, for making their second Western Conference Finals in 2 years, because the front office did a hell of a job. Okay, now let's talk about OKC. Hey, listen, OKC, I know it hurts. It hurts. It sucks. Losing always hurts in a playoff series, especially when you lose a playoff series on game losing free throws. I mean, that sucks. But hey, what a season you guys had. Pick your head up. That was an excellent season. You guys are clearly ahead of schedule, way ahead of schedule. I mean, when you go from 40 and 42, miss the playoffs entirely, and then go from that to the number one seed in the loaded Western Conference, 57 wins, with the youngest team in the league. Your face of the franchise is second in MVP. Your coach of the year. Your rookie is second in rookie of the year, only behind Victor Wembanyama. He's rookie of the year in most years. With the youngest team in the league, number one seed in the loaded West, nothing to be ashamed of. You should be happy more than sad in the long run. Now, the question for OKC is, where do they go from here? So where does OKC go from here? Now, of course, like I said, they were ahead of schedule this season, but the clock starts now. And I don't want to make it seem like they have to win it all next season, but you never truly know in sports when exactly your window is. So, Presti, it's time to start unloading some of that capital to be true contenders. And, well, most of that development comes with using this playoff run as experience. So, for the most part, I would just run it all back. I wouldn't dare to make a blockbuster move for Kevin Durant or even a Lowry marketing that many people are suggesting. I think OKC has identified their top three players in SGA, J-Dub, and Chet. But the team is far from perfect. They lost to Dallas for two reasons. Number one, the front line was weak as hell. I mean, they were the second worst offensive rebounding and opponent offensive rebounding team all season. I mean, that's kind of what happens when you're running a three-guard lineup and your man in the middle is a stick. What OKC needs is a man, a strong 4-5 alongside Chet. I mean, the series rebounding. Outside OKC won game one. They won the rebounding battle in game one. But other than that, game two, plus they were -3, -7, -2 in the last two games, -13, -16 in a 1-point game yesterday. That's the series. That's the series right there. And number two, it's a struggle to get consistent offense all series around SGA. Now, J-Dub and Chet didn't have a consistent series, but they will get better with age. I wouldn't worry about them. It's the other guys. Like Dort isn't offense. The bench is terrible. And Giddey, an additional guy would be huge who can come in and just knock down a few shots. Preferably like off the bench, just come in, just hit a couple of shots when needed to relieve pressure off SGA. When SGA is driving out and kicking, Lou Dort, Josh Giddey, I don't know if I want to drive and kick in an intense playoff series. Those guys are missing a bunch of threes all series. Like, look how big Derrick Jones Jr. was. I was just talking about for the Mavericks. Derrick Jones Jr., vet minimum, was like the fifth, sixth best player on the Mavericks. PJ Washington, third, fourth best player on the Mavericks. And then Dallas, every time Luka and Kyrie couldn't get offense going, pass and kick, hit a big-time three. Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Washington, multiple 20-point games this series. Imagine if OKC, this series, had a role player who was just knocking down shot after shot and scoring 20 points. They would probably be in the Western Conference Finals. OKC, fantastic season. Listen, SGA, the thing that I think OKC needs to be the most proud of is that SGA, the face of their franchise, in his first playoff run as a number one, was the best player in a series against Luka Doncic, who is the best playoff performer, at least one of the best playoff performers of my lifetime. SGA. He lived up to that second in MVP voting. But they lost to the Mavs ultimately because of two reasons. Their supporting cast wasn't better at rebounding and knocking down consistent offense like Dallas's was. And they need to fix that in this offseason. The future is bright in OKC, but this year isn't another building year like the last couple of years have been. The clock starts now. It's time to get serious and be a contender. I know OKC doesn't have to win next year because they're so young and they'll still have the youngest team in the league. But in sports, you never truly know when your window is, so you can't bank on your window opening up 3 years down the line. If you have any signs of a window, you strike and you go win now. And I don't think OKC needs to make a blockbuster trade for a Brandon Ingram, a Kevin Durant, or a Lauri Markkanen. They have their top 3 solidified. They just need more experience and time playing with each other, and that will come next year. And thanks to this playoff series loss. But if they can get a couple role players, one off the bench, one starting, the starter who can be with Chet Holmgren, they can eliminate the 3-guard starting lineup, and they can beef up in the interior, grab rebounds, and you still have Chet in the middle because Chet still plays great defense. And then off the bench, you have a guy who can come in, create his own shot maybe, or just knock down some timely threes when SGA is kicking out in a pick and roll. OKC can easily repeat what they did this year and win damn near 60 games next year. Probably not because the West is going to be so deep, but damn near again, and be a top seed and have home court, which is pivotal in a Western Conference that's stacked when you're trying to make a finals run. But OKC's future is bright, and Dallas, congratulations for making the Western Conference Finals. I appreciate everyone who watched this episode of Some Casual Takes. My social media, Some Casual Takes, for all handles. And until next time, see you.